All right, let's get into your Blue Rush post-game show for the New York Post Sports. The Giants just fall to the Vikings 16-13. That's their ninth straight loss. Interim head coach Mike Kafka hasn't been able to get a win yet since taking over, since Brian Dable was fired. Brandon London here. Excuse my voice. You know, I'm the in-game MC for the Giants. I'm in the performance locker room. We just, field is getting cleared out now. You've got this handsome guy right here, Jared Schwartz. He writes about everything on the Post, does it all. He is my eyes and ears when it comes to watching this game from the broadcast. And as you know, we break this thing down. We're fair, we're partial, we're impartial, but at the same time, we got to talk football the way we know it, the way we see it. Jared, I'm gonna give it to you first, man, because again, you see things I don't see when I'm running around the stadium and all. Your biggest takeaway from this loss, go.
It gets worse every week. When they had tied the game at 13-13, only one thought came through my head. It was, all right, how are they going to screw it up this time? We've seen
Really,
so many
really.
times, at the end of the game. It was like, okay, we tied the game. How are they going to screw it up this time? And pretty much from that moment on, it was like when you go into your settings on your iPhone and like you toggle the tab, it's like, okay, the Giants went back in the losing tab and they toggled it on and they got back in their losing selves, and they let the Vikings drive right down the field, kick a field goal. I was thinking, Max Brosmer, like you just simply can't let him beat you. He's an undrafted guy. He had put up one of the worst stat lines we've ever seen, like 2 weeks ago against the Eagles, I believe. You just can't let him beat you, but he didn't have to. They just ran the ball a few times. They just ran the ball down the Giants' throats, gets into field goal position. Of course, they make it. And I saw the Giants were celebrating, that stop when they held them to just a field goal, and I was thinking, like, you have to score again. Like, yeah, good. Like, they let them score a touchdown, but like, now you're losing, and now you need to produce like either a game tying or game winning drive, and they just have not done that all year. And look, Jackson Dart puts the ball right in Darius Slayton's hands. He's open over the middle of the field. He's got room to run. He wasn't being hit. He wasn't about to be being hit. The throw wasn't behind him. It wasn't too far in front of him. It wasn't high. It wasn't low. It was right in his hands, and he drops it. So it was a day of drops. It was a day of sacks. It was a day of dysfunction. And at the end of the day, it's another day of loss. Just like this so often. It's almost uncanny how they find different ways to lose every week.
The crazy part is like when you're saying like when they tied it up 13-13, in your head was, all right, how are they going to lose this game? In my head, I'm thinking, all right, how are you guys going to finally right some wrongs? Not so much change the narrative about you, but at least stop the narrative about you for a week. How are you guys going to close this game out, find a way to win this game? And then it didn't happen. I think that's the most frustrating part for me, especially watching that. We'll go to that Darius Slayton drop, and it's one of those things where, bro, they paid you. Joe Shane put his name out there for you. He put his trust in you because there were other wide receivers that he could have went after during free agency. But like
They
everyone
made you a captain also. They made
made you a captain. If you also been Walter Payton Man of the Year, so you're a great guy. You're a great guy, great teammate guy. You wear the C. We understand you're a great locker room guy, but he paid you because you've been somewhat one of the most consistent Giants at the receiver position when it comes to production numbers. Every year has been like a 700 plus, except the down years or years he's been hurt. So he paid you to really show like, all right, we're going to get you a quarterback that can get you that football down the field, push the ball down the field. You're going to be our speed guy. Plus you got paid because Jalen Hyatt hasn't been able to come around and show that he's the third round pick, that speed guy to take your job. They drafted him to take your job. He hasn't had any competition for it, and he dropped another one. And it is so disheartening because when you have people like the Colin Cowards or that crowd that's calling for the Giants to take that first pick, which they have right now after another loss, and grab Mendoza and trade Jackson Dart, are you watching these football games? Jackson Dart is doing what he's supposed to do, but we cannot evaluate the quarterback position now. Remember, it's been reversed in other years. We haven't been able to evaluate the receiver position because you haven't had the quarterback. Now it's vice versa. You can't evaluate the quarterback because you don't have the playmakers on the perimeters. So it goes back to, you can look at me and be like, silly you, Brandon, thinking they were going to reverse the curse or reverse the narrative about them. But I really thought when the game was tied, I was like, okay, it's time for a Jackson Dart moment to show that he's really him, but he did not have enough on the perimeter to help him make plays and ultimately win this football game.
It's unbelievable how quickly, once Andrew Thomas went out with the injury, just how quickly it reverts right back to this, the Giants of old, the Giants of last year and 2 years ago, when the quarterback just has no time to throw and he's not trusting what's in front of him, and he gets those, happy feet, and he's hit the ball out of his hands quickly. Pretty much as soon as Thomas went out, it was okay. This seems like the Giants of last year where they can't protect the quarterback. And like you said, I think Dart was not good, but there was so many bad things around him. He was, there was no time to throw. And then when he did have time to throw, he puts it on Theo Johnson's hands to flex up in the air for an interception. He puts it on Darius Slayton's hands at the end of the game, drop. There were a couple other drops too. It's just, it's what's always so uncanny about this team is it's sort of like a new thing every week. Like the defensive meltdowns is kind of a consistent, but like they probably had 10 stops in a row or something today before that last drive. Like the Vikings hadn't moved the ball, a bit from the first quarter to the from the third quarter on, and then right when it comes down to close to make that one stop, you just need that one stop to put yourself in a position to win. They don't, and Abdul Carter looked good. He's been breaking out a little bit. Brian Burns, sets them up with the strip sack and the Newbin return for a touchdown, and it's like, okay, like that's what I like to see. I like to see Carter breaking out. I like to see Burns making the kind of impact that we expect of him. I like to see Newbin getting involved. These are things I like to see. And then of course it's like, well, if it's not that, it's something else, and it's always something. And the only consistent thing about this team is that it's always something, and they've gotten worse since Brian Dable was fired. I questioned the like in the first quarter when they had the ball in the red zone, they decided to go for it. I think it was 3rd and 8. They ran the ball to make it 4th and 5, and then they went for it. Like, why not just take the points and tie the game at 3-3? And then they showed on the broadcast after that happened. That was the 10th time this year the Giants turned the ball over on downs when in the red zone, and that's the most in the league, and that's the most like this century since 2000. So it's like, think about how many points they've left because they didn't kick. But you are allowed to get it. Like we question Kafka, but guys all around the league, coaches all around the league are going for these 4th downs.
Without a doubt.
You watch these national primetime games and we're all saying, like, why do you go for it? Why do you go for it? Or like, good decision that he went for it. You are allowed to convert them once in a while and make Kafka look good.
Yeah, and Kafka's in a situation to where you're not going to be coaching the way you would if you had this job locked up and they told you, hey, you're going to be the head coach. 1, 2, you got 2 wins on the season. You're playing with house money. Who cares if you go for it? It's like Madden. I get mad when people go for it on like 4th and 16, while we're playing a video game. Right now, it's the same situation. You can go for it on 4th and 50 for all I care. Like, who cares? Try and be as aggressive as possible to do what you feel fit to try and win a football game. But they are not converting on these 4th downs. And you look around the league, you look at the Rams, you look at the Denver Broncos, some of the top teams in the league, they are getting it done when it comes to 4th down. And that's another thing. You can't put that on the coaches per se. It's another thing as a players, when you have your players only meeting or your accountability meetings, if you're watching tape as a group or as a unit, you're looking at these plays like, yo, fellas, like if they're calling to go for it, that means they believe that we can go do it. Get it done. Don't miss that block. Don't run that wrong route. Don't drop that football. Make it happen. And you're watching these guys that have had success. A lot of these guys have had success, whether it's been elsewhere or here, success in terms of individual success per se for certain guys. But you're watching guys just take turns not making a play or making some sort of mistake. And at the end of the day, you have no choice but to look and be like, this team is treating themselves like a bad football team. And
And
it's unfortunate.
and I think it's a debate. Like I don't think they've quit. Like I think they're playing
No,
hard.
no, not at all. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like other teams, I think they've quit. Like I don't think they've quit. It looks like they're playing hard. When Carter gets a sack, he does his Darth Vader celebration. Um, I don't think they're just playing out the string here. Like Brian Burns, I think is playing really hard. I think Carter's playing really hard. I think Dart is obviously still laying his body on the line. He's playing hard. Like Tyrone Tracy, and Devin Singletary, like they're running pretty hard.
Yeah, yeah.
The secondary guys like Adebo and Flott and Drew Phillips and
So
Newman.
then let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this then. So now that you say that, we can both agree that the golf clubs aren't in the locker room.
Yeah.
They're not checked out. So the fact that they're playing hard and they're still not getting it done against the Commanders, against the Vikings, against teams that are at the bottom of the NFL, does that make you just look at it and be like, well, then they're just not that good then?
Well, it's either talent, it's either they're just not good enough, that the roster is just not talented enough, or it's coaching. It's that the roster should be better than this, but they're not being set up in positions to succeed. And I do think today, like I think the first point, the talent is another conversation. But like today, Brian Flores is an aggressive defensive coordinator. He likes to bring pressure. He likes to disguise his looks. Up top, he'll show pressure and he'll drop back, or he'll have guys back and bring pressure. And like he had the better of Mike Kafka today. He had the better of the Giants' offensive, scheming and offensive coaching today. And it didn't look like the Giants were prepared for Flores's pressure, or didn't put themselves in the best positions to handle that pressure. So that's coaching. But then there's also just talent. It's just when Andrew Thomas goes out, Marcus Bowe comes in, and it's like he looked good in the preseason. He didn't look that great today. When John Runyon is out for the whole game, Stinney comes in. He wasn't that good. It's talent because you pay Darius Slayton and he's dropping balls left and right. It's talent because you have Deonte Banks on the field and he's covering Justin Jefferson. And for that if 3rd and 16, right? That last defensive third and 16, you can get off the field and in a tie game and give your offense a chance to go win the game. He just beats Deonte Banks like he's not there. So that's a talent thing. Like you still have Deonte Banks on the field. He's not good enough. So it's both. It's both coaching and talent. And it's funny because like you would have thought like the first play of the game, the new kicker Sauls, he kicks it out of bounds. It's like, oh, here we go again with the kicking stuff. Like then he makes his 2 field goals. So he wasn't the problem. Like then he makes his 2 field goals. Like it's as I said, like if it's always something different, but it's always something losing.
Yeah, it's so weird to watch, and it is so hard to keep your consistent. I guess I don't want to say momentum, just energy. Because like you said, there's these moments where you're excited, and then it's like, oh, Javon Holland gets the pick 6, and then you look, call back.
A penalty that had no effect on the play. He just lined up.
Effect on the play, Jared.
You can't do that. Like that's a rookie mistake by Carter. It's not. He didn't do a hands to the face. He didn't jump off. He literally just lined up off sides, and like that's a discipline thing. Winning teams don't do that. That's a make sure you line up at the right spot. You know what I mean? And winning teams don't do that. And it happens too much with this team. That was literally a 10-point swing because that would have been a pick 6, 7 points on the board, and instead the Vikings settle for a field goal. That's a 10-point swing. The Giants aren't good enough to make up for 10-point swings.
Yeah, I guess we got to stay on the defense, man, because another thing a lot of people were talking about, towards the end of the game, you mentioned Max Brosmer coming in for J.J. McCarthy. And when I look at that, a backup quarterback coming into the football game against this pass rush, these pass rushers, you would think, okay, get after this kid. He ends up going 7 for 9
52 yards.
For 52 yards, including that 3rd and 16 strike he threw in double coverage, by the way, because they doubled Justin Jefferson. I just don't. It was
tried
Malik.
to double Justin
They
Jefferson.
tried to double. It was Malik Willis when he came in for Jordan Love, goes down and scores. I don't. It's like I don't even know where to take this post game.
I mean, that's where you go back to the talent versus coaching thing, right? Like Max Brosmer is he was undrafted, and what was it, 2 weeks ago when they played the Eagles? He had like the worst, like he had like as low of a passer rating as you can get, and he was getting killed. Like like that's not the Vikings don't have more talent, I don't think. Like especially with Max Brosmer on the field. Like he is. You look at the Vikings, right? They're 7-8 this year, with some of the worst quarterback production you'll get in the league. Like J.J. McCarthy became a meme across the league. That whole 9 thing, like after he did that funny like post-game reaction, and then he went crazy. And then you see all these 9 memes everywhere, people photoshopping other quarterbacks on his jersey when they have a bad game. Like J.J. McCarthy became a meme. And Brosmer had one of the worst games I think ever statistically recorded a couple weeks ago. So they have had like some of the worst quarterback production in the league. And they're 7-8. Like that's like they've had some of the worst quarterback production in the league, and they've won 7 games. Like the Giants think they have their quarterback, and they're 2-13. So it's like, it's got to be coaching, because like Kevin O'Connell's a really good coach who maximizes what he has, and like, I mean, they probably won't win out, but they could go 9-8 with.
They can go 9-8.
They could go 9-8, and maybe 8-9, or maybe they lose both. But like they won 7 games with J.J. McCarthy, Max Brosmer, and like Justin Jefferson has not been a
Carson Wentz as well.
I think he was in there one. Yeah, so you know what I mean. Like they've good coaches and good teams. Like they find ways to win. They've already won 7 games with some of the like 3 worst quarterback showings of the year, and the Giants play well, and they can't find ways to win. It's like that's when it goes back to like, they're not talented enough. I think the talent is a problem, but they have the talent to beat Max Brosmer, but they didn't. Like Max Brosmer led the game go ahead scoring drive, like Jackson Dart didn't.
Last but not least, we got to talk about Jackson Dart. Obviously, we touched on it a little bit, but a lot of people are joining the chat. They may not have heard, some of our conversation about Jackson Dart and the offense, especially the passing game. Jackson Dart goes 7 for 13 for 33 yards and an interception. He was sacked 5 times, 27.4 QB rating. Do you pull him for the last 2 games?
Well, that's a debate, right? Like that's why I hate the tanking talk when people say just tank, because then you have games like today, and games like today are demoralizing for guys like Jackson Dart, where he's getting hit every time he drops back, where guys are dropping his passes. Like these are the kind of games that stick in your head, where it's like, now I'm getting rid of the ball a little faster because I don't trust what's in front of me. Now I'm thinking a little differently when I throw into coverage, because I know that receiver might not catch it, and it might tip up for an interception. Like I think some of that bravado we saw from Dart before his concussion, that fearlessness, that wasn't there today. Like he didn't trust what was in front of him. And so games like today, when it's just like lose out, who cares? Like it doesn't help like a young quarterback to just lose out and have these terrible games where there's nobody in the stands, and the people that are in the stands are just booing him. And look, we'll see what Andrew Thomas's injury is. If he shuts it down, like I wouldn't sit Dart. I think every game that he can play will help his development. But games like today don't help his development at all.
If Andrew Thomas is down, I'm sitting Jackson Dart down.
Yeah, and you just play Jameis the last 2 games.
And I will play Jameis the last couple games, and then activate Russ to be that second quarterback. I'm sorry, I know people can be like, "Oh, that's a loser mentality." I'm not saying tank. I'm saying protect the future.
Yeah.
And then we again, like as you alluded to earlier in this live stream, you talked about how it all goes to ish when Andrew Thomas goes down, and we saw that again today. So why have him back there? Why have him? Why put it on him? And I remember when he first got the start against the Chargers. I'm in the locker room that Wednesday before that game, and I'm asking Brian Burns, "What do you guys got to do as a defense and a team to protect Jackson Dart? Protect him." It was his first game before all the sliding or not sliding.
Yeah.
And he goes, We got to make sure we hold it down and do things right, correctly on our end, so he doesn't have to play hero ball. He said that at that time when he said that, I'm thinking, oh, hero ball, thinking, all right, I've got to overcompensate for, I'm my first time rookie. I got to do this. I got to do X. I got to, no, no, no. You want to make it as smooth as possible for him in that first start. Now let's fast forward to what, seventh, eighth, or ninth start, which it could be next week against the Raiders. Now you have to protect him again.
So now he's trying to be a hero.
To play hero ball. So the only way to do that, I feel like, sit him, allow Jameis to come in, allow Jameis to run this offense, because he's done it. He's looked good in it. But to protect Jackson Dart in his offseason, I can't believe I'm saying this, because I am a guy that I want to get out there and play. Get out there and play.
And he does too.
And he does as well. But if he is your guy and you're not listening to the outside noise, the clickbait to trade him and, in that first round and grab Fernando Mendoza, if he is your guy for the future, I am going to look at possibly sitting him for these next 2 games. And I am ashamed that I am saying that right now as a competitor.
No, I'm with you. Like I'm always like, well, no, like any chance to develop is good, but games like today don't help. Like you look at him on the sideline, and it's like he even he had his chain broken today. Do you see that? Like that chain he always wears from his sister. Like his chain broke, and it's like, damn, like that. It was like almost like a metaphor for like his aura is gone, and like you look at him on the sideline, and he just looks so defeated. And when they went 4 and out, when they turned the ball over on downs, he looks so defeated. And it's like when he first came in, they beat the Eagles, they beat the Chargers, and you look at him, it's like, wow, he represents hope. And like you look at him, and he's like, that hope is rubbing off on guys, and it's like, wow. And you look at him today, he looks like a beaten down dog. Like, and you want to avoid that growing. You want to avoid him develop that, like, oh, shoot, here we go again. Here we go again. Here goes the losses. So I always think, I want him to play, but games like today don't help anybody. And there's no reason to believe, especially if Thomas is out, if JMS is still out, there's no reason to believe it won't be like today the last 2 weeks. So, I'm with you on that.
And people could be like, oh, well, they're playing the Raiders and they're playing the Cowboys. Really doesn't matter, because you got guys like
the Giants.
Max. Yeah, if I'm Max Crosby, I'm like, no Andrew Thomas.
Yeah.
Jackson, I'm going to get after this.
I'm hitting my season bonuses today.
I wonder what my incentive is. I got to get to it. He's going to play. He's still fired up to play. You saw him last week getting into it with the guy on the defense for not doing his his job per se. So, I don't know. Write in the comments, right. Let us know. We're gonna go ahead and end this live stream, but let us know what you think. If you feel as though Jackson Dart should be the starter for the remaining of the season, and not because he's playing bad, not at all, but to be able to protect him going into the offseason. So now with the new head coach, who knows, new coordinator, who knows, he doesn't have to miss anything because he's rehabbing and recovering from something, from 2 games that are somewhat meaningless and pointless, to have him back there. And again, I can't believe that I'm even saying that right now. I'm about to go home, pick up my baby boy and be like, Daddy is not competitive. Daddy is thinking about being conservative rather than being competitive and being aggressive. And this is, I don't know, like you said, that hope, if Jackson's not displaying that hope, it hits absolutely all of us. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, rocking with us on this Blue Rush post-game live stream. We got Jared Schwartz right there, B London. As always, thanks for watching Blue Rush. We'll see you on Monday with David Tyree's takes. You're not going to want to miss it.